Okay, so here's another fun little video. Doing my water change today as I do every other Friday. And I have the NYOS media reactor here. And I turn the base and pull it off as I always do. And the bottom of it just falls out of it. And carbon starts dumping into the sump. So now I am draining the sump down and cleaning out all the carbon, which it might necessarily not be a bad thing because I needed to clean out my sump anyway. So I went ahead and took the base out and went ahead and took the protein skimmer out. And now I'm going to drain the water out of here and just give it a good cleaning inside here. So just something to be very cautious of if you use the NYOS media reactor. It's by far my favorite media reactor. I really like how it works, and I like it, sitting in the sump, and I haven't had any issues with it up until now. And then, like I said, the bottom just came out of it. Luckily, the whole thing didn't dump in there because I saw the bottom start to come off, and I pushed it down to the bottom and held it in. And then I used two hands to hold the bottom, but it did still make a mess. So, like I said, the positive aspect of it is that I'll get give the sump a cleaning. So, needed it anyway. So there we go. Okay, that was a fun ordeal. I tried to use paper towels to get all the carbon out, and then I tried to use a fish net. Couldn't get all of it out, so I finally had to bring the shop back and vacuum the whole sump out. But anyway, this section of the sump is not spotless, but pretty clean. Now I just got to get everything cleaned up and back in it. But yeah, this particular water change is taking me a lot longer than I had planned. I went ahead and just pulled, like normally on the filter roller here, I normally use a staple gun as they recommended, not staple gun, just stapler, and staple the end of the old roll to the end of the new roll, and then just pull it through. Makes it really easy. But I'm going to go ahead while I'm this far, and I'm just going to wipe the inside of that area out too, and just wipe off the floats and all that, just to kind of clean those up while I'm this far in, and then I'll get it all back together. Okay, everything's looking pretty good now. It's taking me a little time to get everything cleaned up and going, and I'm still not done. You can see there's still like streaks on the front glass and stuff. I'm working on cleaning up the NYOS reactor because the base of it was really dirty. I'm not sure, I know Eric on my 525XL on his channel, I know that he had mentioned before that his NYOS reactor had done the same thing. The bottom came off and carbon went everywhere in the sump. So what I'm thinking about to prevent that, it'll just make it more difficult to clean and get the little sponge out of the bottom and things like that. I'm thinking about just gluing the bottom on there so that doesn't happen again, because that ordeal is a pain. So, I mean, that's kind of my thoughts right now. I think I'm going to take some super glue, glue the bottom on so it can't come off, and that way I just won't have to worry about it again. And like I said, the only disadvantage that I can think of right now is just, as far as cleaning it, but I don't foresee any other issues. So I think I'm going to go that route. Let's see what else. Everything else good. Like I said, I took the shop back and vacuumed out, so that one section of the sump is pretty clean. I've got the new filter roll in there, a fleece roll. I've got to wrap it around and tighten it up. I hadn't done that yet. I've just got it kind of laid on top of that, the pull roll part. So I'll get that done here in a second. I think everything else, there's not really any other issues. I changed out about 50 gallons of water altogether since I completely drained out the sump. And then I think I did, I probably did 20 gallons up top, and I vacuumed out the sand bed really well too, just because I still see like brown in it, and I'm not sure if it's kind of just like brown algae, diatoms, or actually dinos. So I'm kind of wondering, maybe I've beaten back the dinos since I hadn't really seen it bubble or come up like it was, but there was still like this kind of brown stuff in the sand that kind of looked like diatoms. So I'm hoping that's what it was, and I vacuumed it out, and I think I got most of that kind of cleared out of the sand. So I'll just let you know in the next update. We'll see if it comes back or not. We'll see if I've finally beaten the dino issue, the issue I can't talk. Sorry. See if I've finally beaten the dinoflagellants issue, and if I've taken care of that, then I'm gonna start back stocking this tank up. So I'm gonna go ahead and I think first I'm gonna go ahead and get some more fish in here, just to go ahead and have that so that water parameters and all that will be stable, and I can work on that side of it first, and then I'm gonna start trying to order some large groups of corals at a time, maybe 5 to 10 frags at a time, and add to the tank so I can get this thing built back up and established if the dinos don't return. So hoping not. I am continuing to dose neonitrate and neofos, so I'm hoping that will keep them from coming back. I'm still doing about the same feeding. I feed twice a day. At lunchtime, I feed 1 cube of frozen brine shrimp, gut-loaded brine shrimp, and then in the evening, about 6 or 7 o'clock in the evening, then I feed some pellet food. So I have a combination. I have a veggie blend pellet food for the tangs, since I'm not doing nori and things like that, and then also do like a carnivore type blend. That's I think it's like ground up mysis and stuff like that. But anyway, I think I'm feeding pretty heavy. I've been watching my nitrates and phosphates, and they haven't gotten extremely low again. So I think on that front, I've kind of got things set to go. Even though with this large water change I just did, I will probably test it in the morning and kind of see where I'm at, and I might need to bump up a little bit of the phosphate and nitrate additives just to make sure that I'm not too low. I'm not sure how long, honestly, that it has to be low before you would see a dino outbreak again. Not exactly sure how that works, but anyway, that's where I'm at. So the water change is good, everything's cleaned up. I'll also take you back and show you the water box 35. I got that cleaned up and looking pretty good. Did the water change on that and got the glass clean, vacuumed the sand a little bit. So everything's looking good there. So let's go take a look at that. Okay, so let me back up some. The water box 35 is kind of in the sunset mode, time of day for it. So the light is faded to a really blue, so even the filter's not helping a lot. But I'll do another update on this one very soon. Everything's going really well in this tank. I haven't had any other issues. You can see I've got the one chalice on the side there. Oh, and I actually ordered more corals for this tank, and they'll be here Tuesday. So that'll be exciting to add even some more corals to this tank. And this one's gonna be pretty full after I get this next shipment of corals in. So we'll just pretty much watch this one grow and see how it goes. And then I gotta focus on the 100, but the clam's still doing good. I've had that guy since the beginning. Never an issue with those. I love them. They're always cool. I thought about putting a second one in here, but just gonna leave him. I know even though that's the the Crocia or whatever, the one that it doesn't get as big as a Maxima clam, but it still gets pretty big, so I don't know how much space it's going to actually fill out right there. I had it lower at one point. I started off with it lower in the tank, and it didn't open up as much. And then I moved it up, and it started opening more. So it seemed to like more light. So I think this one seems to prefer midway up or higher up in the tank. Let's see, have the Zoas there, the digitatas in here. I think that one's called that Spider-Man, the Stylophora. And I'd mentioned before, I had it low on a rock, and I ordered that just because my son saw his name Spider-Man and he wanted it. I mentioned that story before. But I had it lower on the rock, and it was doing poorly. I thought it was almost dead. Then I moved it up here to the very top, and now it's really taken off. So you can see it's got some growth. It's starting to come down to the rock. Then green digitata, and that one's growing some other limbs out, so that one's growing rapidly. Zoas, and then a blue digitata, and then we have that Rhodactus mushroom back there. Of course, my favorite, everybody knows, the torch, which I want a lot more torches, but they're just super expensive. But I'm hoping to put several in the 100 again. I would love to have kind of like a little torch section, but we'll see. I mean, you know, the ones I like are $200 to $300 a pop, so it's kind of expensive to get them. Then the candy canes, they look fine, but I don't see any growth with those. But they're there and look like they're doing okay. Also have a new piece of equipment ordered for this tank that I'm going to try out. So as soon as that comes in, I'm just not sure about if everybody really wants to see me do unboxing videos or not. You know, you can let me know in the comments whether that's just kind of a waste of time. If anybody at all enjoys the unboxing side of it, then I'll continue doing them. But new equipment coming in for this tank, so I'll get that installed. I'll probably do an unboxing video just for the sake of it, and then get that installed on the tank and talk about it a little bit, and we'll go from there. But other than that, everything's going well. I'm still dosing all for reef in here by Tropic Marin. Have been for the majority of the time on this tank. I really, just a little side note about that one, as you know, if you've been following along, I'm starting to dose it now on the Innovative Marine. The main reasons, I like the idea of having a 1-part dosing, but you get your alkalinity, calcium, magnesium. It says it has strontium, and it has iodine in it and other trace elements. So, I mean, really being an all-in-one, I mean, I just don't know why you wouldn't dose it. Especially if, you know, you get it cheaper and you mix it up yourself, and which I'm going to do. They were just sold out of the components to it, but I'm going to order all that stuff in, start mixing up myself. I think even when I add a ton of corals and it starts, the tanks start requiring more alkalinity in those elements, I think, you know, when I bump it up to where I consider is to the point of being too much, you know, on this tank, I'll probably add in like supplement, like do a 2-part dosing system, but use the all for reef for my main dosing. So I'll primarily dose that, you know, maybe up to like 30 or 40 mils a day. And then when I get to that point, when it kind of becomes expensive, then I might add another dosing pump and then dose something else, you know, and I'm not necessarily sure which direction I'll go with that yet, but we'll figure that out when we get there. The 100-gallon tank, my plan is to continue dosing the all for reef, and then when I outgrow that on that system, I would love to look into a calcium reactor. So that's kind of my plan. I know the majority of people that do SPS tanks swear by them. So that's kind of the route that I want to explore when I get to that point. But you know, of course, a ways away from that, but just kind of thinking out loud with you. But anyway, that's long enough for this video. Hope you enjoy. Please like and subscribe to the channel. Trying to get this thing to take off and grow so I can do even more stuff. And like I said, always, you know, if you can and don't mind, just shoot me a comment. That always helps get the videos out there as well. If you're familiar with the algorithms to YouTube. So, you know, just, you can even just say hey in it, or simple stuff, simple one-word things, or whatever you want to put in there. But just like comments going back and forth actually spread the videos a little bit more. All right, thanks again.